In a universe where value lies in appearances, Evan Morris finds himself at a crossroads, forced to marry two alien princesses for peace. As prejudice clouds judgment, he must choose between societal acceptance and the truth of love. Will he shatter the chains of expectation to embrace a future that challenges everything he knows about beauty and connection? If you dream of entering universes or planets where humans shine when they meet unknown races, subscribe, turn on notifications, and you will be happy every day with new wonderful sci-fi stories. Well, let's go. The vastness of Zenui was captivating, a cosmic painting washed in iridescent hues of turquoise and pastel pink that seemed to shift and flow like the very air itself. Each breeze was a caress, bringing with it the intoxicating fragrances of vibrant alien flora that erupted with colors and vibrancy, unlike anything Earth had ever known. Evan Morris stood at the threshold of the royal palace, a monumental structure whose walls glimmered like liquid gemstones under the celestial light of distant stars. It loomed over him, magnificent yet intimidating, and he felt the weight of the mission compressing his chest, more daunting than he had anticipated. With each footstep upon the luminescent pathway, echoing in the majestic hall lined with mirrors that reflected dreamlike landscapes, his heart raced. This was not just any meeting. He was an envoy from Earth carrying the hopes of his planet, a quest for mining rights that could alter the economic tide for millions. Yet as he moved deeper into the palace, a shiver of uncertainty crept up his spine. Suddenly, the imposing silhouette of King Thaler emerged, his presence a curiously compelling mix of regality and raw power. Thaler's features were distinct, skin shimmering like the surface of the ocean under a radiant sun, his eyes deep like vast galaxies, revealing the wisdom of ages past. With a measured bow, King Thaler spoke, his voice reverberating through the hall as if it were a cosmic anthem. Evan Morris, I have a proposition for you. Each word weighed heavy with gravity, laced with the promise of far-reaching consequences. I'm here for the mining rights, Your Majesty, Evan replied cautiously, his curiosity battling with the growing apprehension gnawing at his gut, sensing that the king's proposal would veer far from mere economic discussions. To ensure an alliance between Earth and Zenui, I require a more profound commitment, King Thaler proclaimed. I wish for you to marry my daughters, Leora and Mara. Evan's breath hitched, a tsunami of thoughts flooded his mind. The very idea of binding himself to two alien princesses was perilous. Murmurs foreshadowing their unusual appearances had danced through the diplomatic halls back on Earth. But as the king continued, a fire ignited within him. He recalled the stakes of this mission, the negotiations, the potential for intergalactic collaboration. The fate of his world leaned precariously on this moment, on his response. For the good of both our worlds, I accept. Evan's declaration was met with a tension that vibrated in the air. The significance of such a bond extended beyond mere political maneuvering. This was a union that would challenge everything he had ever known about love and duty, diving headfirst into an ocean of complexities and uncharted ethical terrain. As he stepped back into his quarters, Evan felt the swirling chaos of thoughts threatening to envelop him. The laughter of ridicule echoed in the corridors of diplomacy, casting shadows over his resolve. News of this unorthodox arrangement was not just confined to Zenui, it rippled across the galaxies. From the bustling streets of Earth to the far reaches of the cosmos, the weight of judgment settled upon him like a shroud. Each mocking whisper cut deeper than any blade, sowing seeds of doubt within his mind. Sitting beneath a solitary tree, its metallic leaves glimmering under an alien sun, Evan grappled with the turmoil consuming him. In the convoluted web of intergalactic politics, rumors were as potent as blaster fire. Evan Morris became a lightning rod for whispers, each one more salacious than the last. The gossip ricocheted through the void of space, worming its way from the neon-lit markets of Earth to the opulent halls of the various planets aligned with the grand coalition of worlds. It was a symphony of derision. He was the subject of both scorn and fascination. "Do you really expect to go through with it?" taunted a curt voice in the crowded cafe on Terra X, a hub of bustling diplomacy. Evan stared at his cup of jiru, a robust brew native to the planet, which he found warming but now dull in flavor amidst the mocking laughter. "Did they not tell you?" another voice chimed in. "He's thrown himself into the arms of alien royalty. Imagine a human prince reluctant to accept his destiny. We'll see how long that lasts before he realizes he's just a pawn," a shrewd woman commented, her eyes glinting with mischief as she sipped her drink, scanning the room, ever watchful for the next juicy tidbit of gossip to feed her insatiable appetite for scandal. His colleague's derision cut deeper than any weapon. Evan clenched his jaw, wrestling with an internal tempest. Threatened by the forces of tradition and prejudice that sought to confine him, he often found solace beneath the sprawling boughs of a centuries-old tree in the garden of the diplomatic enclave back home. The splendor of its silver leaves felt like a sanctuary, a small oasis in a stormy sea of scorn. "Am I doing the right thing?" Evan murmured to himself, tracing his fingers along the smooth trunk, feeling each ridge and knot like the tangled points of his brewing discontent. Was he a coward for seeking unity or a fool for dawdling in their judgments? Each thought pulsed through him, a relentless reminder of the consequences that would erupt if he faltered. The very essence of what he was attempting to accomplish began to feel daunting. The marriage, to multiple alien royal progenies, was intended to forge an alliance between the planets, but would it truly yield the peace and progress he envisioned? Or was he merely a pawn, forced to wear the crown of a prince of prejudice in a galaxy that rarely played fair? As he sat there, consumed by swirling thoughts, a shadow fell over him. He looked up to see Iris, a renowned intergalactic journalist known for her bold articles illuminating the shadows of the galaxy. Dressed in sleek, form-fitting attire that shimmered with the star's reflection, she projected the aura of someone who commanded attention. Her reputation preceded her, and Evan knew better than to regard her as an ally. "Evan, the galaxy awaits your response to the ridicule," she said, her voice a forced honey draped over steel. "You have become a spectacle, a soap opera played across the arcades of many worlds." He didn't respond immediately. The fire in her eyes was less of concern and more of sharp intrigue. She was here for a story, for a denouement that would draw eyes and boost her infamy. The scrutiny weighed on him like a leaden cloak, and within that moment, he felt truly alone. "Tell me this," she continued, tilting her head as if seeking to unearth his resolve. "How do you intend to confront this tide of suspicion? Will your love shield you? Or will it drown in public jest?" Evan straightened his posture, grappling with the implication of her words. "It is not about love at first sight, Iris," he replied, his thoughts coalescing into determination. "It's about transcending our prejudices, about collaboration and unity. Dismissing my princesses as mere political tools would be the greatest mistake. They are warriors in their rights, and we, together, will show the universe our strength." Iris's lips quirked into a bemused smile. "So, you believe you can change the perceptions of countless beings across innumerable stars with your romantic ideals? I wish you luck, though hope is not a strategy." He met her gaze steadily. "Hope is the first step toward that strategy. Defining what we stand for, how we are perceived, that is where strength lies." With her interest piqued, she leaned in closer, lowering her voice. "And if that strength falters? If they think you do not belong?" With that, she left him, a puzzle box that had not unlocked its secrets during their exchange. The shadow of her words lingered, a specter haunting him long after she departed. The weight of expectation pressed on his shoulders as he considered the immense stakes involved. What did it mean to take a step toward unity when society, much less advanced in thought than the technology it wielded, continued to cling to archaic norms and judgments? In the following days, as the tension in the atmosphere thickened, Evan received a message from King Thaler that stirred a whirlwind of concern and anticipation. He was to meet with the Council of Zenui, where he could very well face objections to the marriage alliance, brought forth by the very beings he sought to bond with through love and respect. Council members, he studied the ornate scroll presented to him, its edges humorously tinged with gold. They were as ancient and traditional as the civilizations they embodied. Would he, a mere human, find acceptance in this amphitheater of galactic authority? The meeting room was a half-circle radiant chamber woven into the underwater fabric of Zenui. Luminescent aquatic creatures drifted outside, illuminating the space with cultural richness. Evan walked in accompanied by the fragrant aquatic breeze, mingling the scents of salt and flora, a testimony to the planet's dual nature. Seated along a long table were stalwart members clad in their regional garb, a palette of colors and textures, showcasing their world's deep cultural legacies. Among them was High Counselor Vithakai, whose multiple elongated limbs gestured expressively, as he recommended maintaining the good standing of their kind through established tradition. Your people do not know what it is to blur the lines between species, Vithakai's voice boomed, rich and resonant, echoing off the chamber's glorious walls, and yet here you are, willing to wed two of our most revered. It sounds foolish, even reckless. Evan's heartbeat raced. With utmost respect, Counselor, it is the very act of us respecting our differences that can create bridges rather than barriers. I do believe love and commitment can bring forth a new harmony. Nevertheless, Vithakai continued to frown, perplexed by this human's resolve. You are but an envoy. This council averse to those assumptions must question the merits of your commitments. The stakes are high. Have you considered the consequences should you fail in your union? Evan took a breath, recognizing the true weight behind those words. The sun dipped low in the turquoise sky of Zenui, casting elongated shadows across the royal palace's outer gardens. Evan Morris approached the magnificent entrance, his heart pounding with a blend of anticipation and trepidation. He could hear the rustle of vibrant alien foliage swaying softly in a gentle breeze, carrying the intoxicating scents of flowers, some luminescent, others evolving in color as he walked closer. Today marked the day of his first official meeting with the princesses Leora and Mara, an encounter that could set the tone for their intertwined fates. In preparing for this moment, Evan mentally combated the swirling doubts and skepticism that poured from the galaxy's inhabitants, who were quick to mock what they deemed his impractical union. Despite his resolve, the whispers haunted him. He sought not only an alliance but acceptance. As he stepped beyond the palace threshold, an entrance adorned with intricate, ever-shifting artwork, he found himself in a breathtaking garden that sprawled out like an oasis of color and life. Towering alien trees stretched toward the ethereal skies, their leaves shimmering as they caught the last rays of sunlight. Flowers of every shade unfurled like graceful dancers, their petals glistening with residue resembling dew, but sparkling under the gravitational nuances that existed on Zenui. At the center of this vibrancy stood Leora, resplendent in an outfit woven from threads of solar energy that clung affectionately to her form. Her skin shimmered with a subtle luminescence, a shade that seemed ever-changing, echoing the very essence of Zenui's atmosphere. Her long hair tumbled like golden silk down her back, interspersed with tiny bioluminescent organisms that flickered softly. A crown of intricately formed vines crowned her head, each leaf a testament to elegance and strength. "Welcome, Evan," Leora greeted, her voice a melodic pulse in harmony with the world around them. She spoke with an authority that belied her youth, the wisdom of generations embedded in her tone. "We've awaited your arrival." Mara, standing beside her sister, was equally captivating yet distinctly different. Her attire radiated an aura of mystery, dark fabrics embroidered with glowing silver threads that shimmered like stars against a midnight sky. Her sharp, attentive gaze contrasted with her sister's comforting warmth. Mara had an electrifying energy about her, as if each word was a calculated weapon or shield waiting to be wielded. Her hair, an opalescent cascade of colors, framed a face that was both fierce and inviting. "We understand the enormity of your situation, Evan," she added, her voice fiery yet inviting. "Yet, it is crucial to know that our worth is not dictated by what you may have heard. You are not alone in this battle against judgment." Evan felt a rush of relief mixed with admiration wash over him as he looked into their vibrant eyes, which shimmered with unspoken promises. "I stand corrected," he replied, attempting to keep his composure before the dual forces of beauty and strength before him. "I underestimated the power of your presence. Together, let's forge an alliance that benefits not just our worlds but all that linger in the realm of prejudices and biases." Their eyes brightened, and a sense of solidarity began to bloom within the garden, forging an unexpected connection amid the chaos that surrounded them. "The air feels electric, as if the very clouds had conspired to weave their fates together." The garden came alive, absorbing their shared laughter and camaraderie. "Let us show you our world," Leora proposed, her excitement palpable. "There are wonders beyond your comprehension and beauty in our customs that may surprise you." Evan nodded, feeling the thrill of adventure bubbling within him. He had come here on a mission, and it was slowly transforming into something much greater than mere political prowess. The potential for understanding, compassion, and the breaking of barriers ignited a fire within him that he hadn't anticipated. As they began strolling through the garden, Evan found himself captivated by its delicate details, the way the leaves shimmered with suppressed light, as if they were alive with grievance, unrelenting in their beauty. Everything coexisted, permeating the atmosphere with hope yet hinting at danger lurking just beyond the horizon. "In our culture," Mara explained while caressing a flower that extended a glossy, delicate limb toward her, "we believe in acknowledging both our beauty and our imperfections. For instance, here, the flowers whisper their tales to one another, sharing their experiences of joy and heartache." "A lovely concept," Evan responded, "that applies beyond mere flora." He felt an understanding dawn upon him. Every entity and being shared their truth, hidden behind their exteriors. Are we merely reflections of the way society perceives us? Precisely, Leora exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. Beauty is often perceived from a single viewpoint. We must change that perspective. As they ventured deeper into the garden, each bloom and tree continued to reveal its secrets while urging the three of them into deeper conversations. The vibrant ecosystem thrummed in tune with their burgeoning friendship, creating an atmosphere that felt electric with possibilities. Before long, Evan realized they had wandered far from the palace. They stood before a colossal, ancient tree with a trunk so wide that it could accommodate a small spacecraft. Faint, glowing patterns pulsed along its bark, whispering timeless legends of their ancestors. Leora reached out, placing her hand gently against it, and a soft light erupted, illuminating the surrounding area with ethereal patterns that spiraled and danced. This tree, known as the Weaving of Life, serves as a bridge between our past and future, she explained, her voice wrapped in reverence. It is said that the roots of wisdom run deep, connecting every being to us, even to you. Evan felt the hair on the back of his neck rise as visions swirled in his mind. Images of countless beings, their struggles, and achievements intertwined in a tapestry of existence that transcended time and space. Each raindrop that fell from an alien cloud could carry stories that shaped worlds. What if we could learn from these connections? He mused aloud, savoring this newfound perspective. What if they could help us reshape how we align ourselves politically, ethically, and culturally? Wouldn't that be a magnificent venture? Mara replied, her eagerness apparent. If only the cosmos could comprehend that unity could be forged in vulnerability. The trio, bonded by shared understanding and respect, remained engrossed in conversation until shadows began to stretch ominously through the garden. The sky above transformed, colors swirling in disarray as dark figures loomed on the horizon. A chill swept through the lush foliage, unsettling even the most resilient leaves. "We should return," Leora said suddenly, her voice edged with concern. Approaching tensions, along with Lord Pulgan's ambitions, linger restlessly nearby. The grand gala of Zenui unfolded like a bloom in the twilight, its petals unfurling to reveal a convergence of alien dignitaries, each adorned in elaborate and colorful regalia that swept across the glistening floor like a tide of shimmering waves. The expansive hall, hewn from a mix of translucent crystal and organic materials, pulsed lightly underfoot with the rhythm of life. It was beyond simply being a structure. It was a living entity that breathed alongside the guests. Pillars of iridescent crystals spiraled eloquently to the ceiling, filtering the light into a million different hues, painting the faces of the attendees in shades of emerald, gold, and amethyst. Evan Morris stood at the entrance, his heart pounding with a mix of excitement and anxiety. The delicate strains of harmonious music played from unseen sources, wafting through the air and compelling the audience into movement, igniting an atmosphere of shared celebration. But for Evan, this wasn't just a party. This was a defining moment, a pivotal point that could mold the fate of not only his life but the future of peace between planets. Leora and Mara emerged from the crowd, two luminous figures complementing one another against the vibrant backdrop. Leora's gown flowed elegantly, woven from ethereal strands resembling the night sky, while Mara's attire dazzled with shimmering patterns reminiscent of the nebulae. Just by standing together, they embodied the cosmic ideals of beauty and unity, contrasting sharply with the traditional notions he had grown up with on Earth. "Evan, are you ready?" Mara asked, her voice smooth like silk, tinged with a hint of mischief. There was a certain spark in her eyes, a striking intelligence that shone brighter than any star. "I've got your backs," Evan replied, his resolve strengthening. He had grown to respect these women, not merely as princesses but as formidable allies. Over the past few days, their conversations had shifted from performing obligation to aspirations that extended into the cosmos. In their shared moments, they discussed changing perceptions across worlds, challenging the stereotypes that dictated societal norms, not just between Earthlings and Zenuans, but traversing across galaxies. As they descended into the thrumming heart of the gala, they navigated through clouds of chatter and laughter, greeted by faces both familiar and foreign. Some glimmered with the light of hope, while others harbored shadows of jealousy and disdain. Among the throng, however, one figure loomed ominously: Lord Pulgan, an influential statesman from the neighboring planet of Galdar, whose reputation was built upon cunning manipulation and a penchant for sowing discord. Draped in an ornate robe that shimmered like molten gold, Pulgan stood out in the crowd, a gleam of wickedness flashing in his calculating eyes. As he sauntered closer, the whispers of the gala hushed, tension sweeping through the assembled guests. Pulgan, known for his acidic commentary, had become notorious for his ability to dismantle reputations with pointed jabs. A master of sowing doubt and division. "Ah, the new ambassador of Earth," he sneered, a venomous smile curving his lips. How fortunate that you've settled for marrying these interesting creatures. Do tell me, did you plan to wear a blindfold for the ceremony to avoid the shame of your choice? Murmurs of discomfort spread through the crowd, but Evan's heart ignited with defiance instead of shame. Stepping forward, he locked eyes with Pulgan, feeling the weight of the moment. Your judgments reflect your ignorance, Lord Pulgan, he declared, his voice steady, clear, and resolute. Leora and Mara are more than their appearances. They are leaders and warriors, custodians of knowledge and culture. To belittle them is to belittle this alliance and all we hope to achieve. The room was electric. Silence enveloped the space, as Evan's defiance confronted the Lord's arrogance. Slowly, a ripple of applause began to emerge, hesitant at first, growing louder as guests rallied behind Evan. A tide of solidarity surged forward, challenging the pervasive toxicity that Pulgan embodied. Evan, recognizing the shift, turned to Leora and Mara, their eyes glimmering with pride. A shared understanding passed silently between them. We're in this together, Leora murmured, a fierce determination echoing in her words. Better to stand together as pillars than to crumble alone, Mara added, her voice ringing, setting the resolve deeper into the hearts of those who heard it. Encouraged by their presence, Evan faced the throng of guests. This alliance is not merely a union for convenience. It is a symbol of change, of breaking the shackles of bias holding us back. We are here to foster understanding and explore what it means to be truly united. More claps filled the elaborately decorated hall. Pulses of intrigue danced between guests as they exchanged glances. Even those initially skeptical began to see the alignment during the celebration, recognizing the weight of Evan's words. Words that reverberated beyond appearances and reached into the core of values shared between vastly different worlds. With every heartbeat, the collective vision of progress became palpable. Yet, as the evening progressed, the sense of solidarity grew darker under the gaze of Lord Pulgan, whose smirk had twisted into a scowl, and his eyes now glinted with a deadly purpose. He would not allow this alliance to flourish unchallenged. Enough of this farce, Pulgan suddenly shouted, his voice slicing through the crowd like a shard of ice. You think this charity will shield you from the truth? That these alien princesses can elevate an Earth envoy? This union will only ever be a mockery, a diversion from your failures. Tension rippled through the hall as many shifted uneasily, casting sidelong glances at one another. Mara, Leora, ignore him, Evan said firmly, his pulse quickening. We have shown strength in our united front. Do not let this man's words taint our purpose. Despite the unease growing in Evan's chest, he noticed pockets of support emerging in whispers and murmurs. Others began rallying around them, inspired by the idea of rewriting their collective narrative with the force of unity. With enough wisdom and courage, we can break away from the chains of ignorance, Leora declared, her voice rising to echo through the majestic hall. We will not be defined by appearances or old prejudices. We have the power to craft a narrative much larger than ourselves. Our beauty comes from our strength and unity, never from what glimmers on the surface. The applause crescendoed, each clap resonating with empowerment that momentarily shielded Evan and the princesses from Lord Pulgan's spiteful energy. Yet deep down, Evan sensed the undercurrents of discontent that brewed within Pulgan, and an eerie apprehension began to settle over him. As dawn broke over the stunning landscape of Zenui, the iridescent skies began to glow with hues of gold and rose, creating an enchanting backdrop for the grand wedding ceremony. It was a day unlike any other, one that would rewrite the history of their worlds forever. The sweet fragrance of the vibrant alien flora wafted through the air, intertwining with the sounds of harmonious melodies played by ethereal beings from the royal orchestra. Evan stood at the altar, his heart pounding against his chest, a mix of excitement and trepidation coursing through him. Today, he would not just marry Leora and Mara. He would forge a new destiny that transcended the boundaries of prejudice and societal expectations. As he watched the princesses approach, resplendent in their flowing gowns that sparkled like the night sky, he felt an overwhelming sense of purpose engulf him. Leora's gown shone with shifting colors, mirroring the vibrant blues and greens of her home world. Her presence exuded strength and grace, her face adorned with a delicate veil that enhanced her otherworldly beauty. Mara followed closely behind, her gown contrasting beautifully with deep purples and silver threads that echoed the starlit cosmos. She had always possessed a spark of adventurous spirit, and that day was no different. As they reached the altar together, their hands clasped, Evan's voice trembled with emotion. On this day, I choose not just to unite with you, my beloved Leora and Mara, but to embrace all that you represent for our worlds. King Thaler, standing proudly beside them, raised his arms, invoking the sacredness of the moment. Let all present attest to this union, born out of love, respect, and an unyielding bond that will last through the ages. The hall, filled with luminescent beings from across galaxies, erupted in applause. Animals native to Zenui danced around them, their vibrant colors adding to the spectacle. An otherworldly ambiance enveloped the venue, weaving a tapestry that united different cultures and species. Together, we are a force of change, the trio declared in unison, rising above the noise. Their voices resonated throughout the palace, echoing the essence of their journey, a promise to challenge societal norms, to set a precedent for future generations. A glimmer of disbelief sparkled in Evan's eyes as feelings of doubt began to dissolve. Surprisingly, in the face of scorn and ridicule, he had unearthed a profound strength that came from the unity they shared. The culmination of this ceremony felt like a beacon reaching out to every corner of the universe, encouraging those who felt different to embrace their uniqueness. As the ceremony continued, the newlyweds exchanged tokens imbued with the energy of their worlds. Leora presented Evan with an iridescent ring, the celestial band, symbolizing the unity of their essences, while Mara offered a pendant containing the spheres of unity, representing the heart of their alliance. With the vows exchanged and the tokens given, a wave of ethereal energy enveloped the trio. Their hearts synchronized, creating a harmonious pulse that rippled through the surrounding assembly. For a brief moment, they glimpsed futures intertwined, a tapestry of hope woven with love, breaking through the shackles of ignorance. With cheers enveloping them, Evan felt an intense warmth in his heart. Slowly, he stepped forward, taking Mara and Leora by their hands. This is our family. These moments will shape what lies ahead. To anyone questioning our bond, let them see the truth shining within us. As the ceremony came to a close, they turned to the crowd, deeper colors of hope twinkling in their eyes. This was only the beginning of their collective journey, a journey that bound their lives but also intertwined their worlds. Days turned into weeks as the celebrations continued and the seeds of their union began to take root. Their home was a bustling hub of newfound alliances, one filled with laughter and conversation. They lived in the royal palace, marveling at its alien architecture, the walls pulsating with energy that mirrored the essence of their emotions. One morning, as the cosmos twinkled outside, the trio sat around a table beautifully set with revolutionary dishes that bridged elements from Earth and Zenui. Evan leaned back, a smile dancing on his lips. I've never tasted anything quite like this. How did you both manage to create such a culinary fusion? Leora chuckled, her eyes sparkling. It was simple. We amplified flavors from my home with spices from Earth. Love always adds a special touch. Mara grinned, experimentation is always an adventure. After all, we want the universe to see the beauty in diversity. Evan couldn't help but admire the dynamic they shared, tangled deeply in zest for exploration and the power of unity. As the day approached when they would greet their firstborn, the importance of their union resonated profoundly. The anticipation created an electric atmosphere that danced across the palace. Each member of their community prepared to stand in solidarity as they welcomed the child who would symbolize a union across species and worlds. On the day of the birth, an air of reverent excitement enveloped Zenui. Together, they turned their focus inward, steeling themselves for the sacred moment. As Mara labored, Evan remained by her side, his heart racing as he witnessed the strength of her spirit. Leora, equally present, channeled her energy into a calming rhythm that helped guide them through the journey. "What do you want to name her?" Leora whispered, concern etched in her features. "Something that embodies hope and unity," Evan replied softly, a quiet determination gleaming in his eyes. At last, with a harmonious cry that resonated through the cosmos, Mara bore a daughter. Evan cradled the newborn in his arms, marveling at her delicate fingers that grasped at the air, as though she were already eager to explore the worlds that awaited her. "We shall call her Lyra," he declared, meeting the gazes of both women. "For she is a melody that joins the song of our lives." Lyra's arrival was more than just an addition to their family. She was a manifestation of the promises shared under the iridescent skies of Zenui. As the days melted into nights, the trio taught her the strength of uniqueness while imparting the importance of unity. Lyra became a symbol, a beacon of hope in a cosmos that desperately needed light. In the vibrant growing city surrounding the palace, the stories of their union reverberated through the universe. As days turned into nights, praises echoed, while change began to seep into the very fabric of society. The whispers of prejudice began to dissolve, replaced with admiration for the remarkable family that had defied expectations. Yet, as the story reached a crescendo, Evan remained acutely aware of the enigmatic challenges concealed beneath the surface. Rumors floated in distant galaxies, fanning the flames of enmity. "Love will always face trials," Leora said one evening, her tone shifting to a more somber note. "We need to be prepared for what lies ahead. Together, we can confront anything," Mara affirmed, determination shining in her eyes. "This is only the beginning, and we must remain vigilant." Evan nodded, a weight pressing on his chest. "Then to arms we shall go if necessary. Our love, our family, these bonds are worth fighting for." As they prepared for whatever trials awaited them, Evan, Leora, and Mara stood united in that moment, echoing promises forged in the heart of Zenui. Their story had captivated hearts and sparked change, but it was not yet complete. Mysteries lay on the horizon. As the stars twinkled above, an enigmatic veil covered the cosmos, hinting that secrets long buried were stirring, and journeys yet untold were waiting to unfold. In the deep silence of space, the fate of their worlds hung in the balance, echoing with the resilience they embodied. Lyra, cradled in her parents' arms, remained blissfully unaware of the cosmic dance that would shape her destiny. For now, her gentle breathing resonated with the hope that bound them all, swaying to the rhythm of an unending story of love, strength, and the infinite pursuit of understanding. To be continued. If you liked this story based on real events, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like it. Here you can dive into a different reality every day, where anything can happen. Comment below what kind of story you would like to hear here. Thank you very much for your attention. We are the Sci-Fi family.